What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's Short Range Outlook. I am Climate Data Report. Today we are going to look at the Short Range Outlook between now and about Saturday night. Taking a look at the national satellite picture here, you can see we do have a storm system in the upper Midwest. There's another storm system out in California that's getting ready to come on shore, and that storm system is going to bring with itself a big flooding threat for California. The storm system in the upper Midwest, that is going to provide snow for even portions of Chicago and the Great Lakes region, and that will eventually slide east into the northern, mid-Atlantic, and southern New England area as we get into tomorrow. Taking a look at the National Hazards Map, you can see here there's winter storm warnings for portions of Wisconsin and Iowa where 4 to 8 inches of snow are expected. Green Bay, you're going to get a good amount of snow. 4 to 8 inches for you. Chicago, you're just under a winter weather advisory. You're just south of the heaviest snow. And 1 to 3 or 2 to 4 inches can be expected for you today. The West Coast, you can see we have these high wind warnings and wind advisories up, and even flood watches up underneath that. The very highest elevations of the mountains, that's where the snow is going to be. The snow elevation level is relatively high with this event, which means the flooding threat is going to be high. There's also winter weather advisories now up for portions of Pennsylvania, New York, and West Virginia, as there is going to be the threat of snow with this system that's coming across the country. Taking a look at the Weather Prediction Center, there's a moderate risk of excessive rainfall today in California. That's not good. Flooding risk is going to be high. There could be avalanches along the mountainsides, and there could even be maybe some mudslides in places that don't have snow on the ground. Taking a look at the Day 2 outlook from the Weather Prediction Center, and you'll see the same thing. Yet again, Central California, moderate risk of excessive heavy rainfall. Then you can see here in the mountain ranges, there's also a moderate risk of excessive rainfall. So that's something we're going to have to watch over the next couple days. Keep an eye on my Twitter account, as I will be tweeting on that. As for severe storm potential, there is some severe storm potential today. Portions of Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. It's not major, it's just a marginal risk. There could be a few storms that contain wind or some small hail. Taking a look at the risk for tomorrow, there is a marginal risk of severe storms for portions of Florida, Georgia, and southeast Alabama. Taking a look at the latest modeling guidance, here's the HRRR model 12Z run, where we'll look at this through its 48-hour range. And as you can see here, here's the snow in the upper Midwest. Then you have out here on the West Coast this storm system that's coming on that's going to provide very heavy rain for portions of California. First, let's follow the system in the upper Midwest. It comes through. Chicago starts as rain this evening and then flips over to snow after about 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. And as this storm comes east, it will spread snow into portions of western Pennsylvania. Southwest Pennsylvania, this is mainly a rain event for you, maybe ending as a snow mix. Central Pennsylvania, this is a decent size event. You could see 3 to 6 inches of snow with isolated higher amounts along the highest levels of the mountain range areas. And even Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania, 2 to 4 or 3 to 6 inches is likely for you. Down in southeast Pennsylvania, this is looking like mainly a rain event ending as snow. So you can see New York State also gets a good swath of snow. Generally south of the I-90 corridor, that's where the highest accumulations will be. 2 to 4 or 3 to 6 inches of snow expected there. North of I-90, maybe you could see up to an inch. Precipitation really does not get too far north of that. And as you can see here, the area of low pressure that does develop, the secondary low, develops fairly east. But we have to watch this little band that pops up as the system exits late Friday night into Saturday morning. There could be a heavier band, which some of the higher res models are showing. And it could drop a little swath of snow from New York City down through Philadelphia. Maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow would fall. Back to the West Coast real quickly. As you can see here, through this entire forecast period, you get waves of moisture coming on shore in California. Eventually it does get down to LA, so LA could see some heavy periods of rain as well. And like I said, the flooding threat in California is relatively high. The snowpack on the mountains is really high at this time. One other thing I do want to point out on the HRRR model is take a look down here in the southern states. As you can see down in the southern states, you do have a severe threat tomorrow. And the main threat for tomorrow is going to be wind that comes through southeast Alabama, portions of Georgia, and even into northern Florida. So we'll have to watch that tomorrow. Let's take a look at the NAM model. Here's the NAM model, which shows similar things as the HRRR model. About 1 to 3 inches, maybe 2 to 4 for Chicago area. The snow then comes east, the low. Here's the primary low over in northwest Pennsylvania. Transfers to the secondary fairly east. But look what happens here. You get this heavier band that sets up over Asbury Park, Toms River, Sandy Hook, New Jersey, just south of New York City. That's something that has to be watched. It actually first originates over New York City, and it drops south. There could be a really heavy period of snow. It would only last about 2 or 3 hours with that band as it pulls out. And as you can see on Saturday, up here in the upper Midwest, already the next round of snow, and already the next round of precipitation coming onshore out in California. Alright, how about temperatures across the country? Let's take a look at that. As we can see here, today is going to be a relatively warm day in the south. Look down here. Texas, relative 80s in southeast Texas, 60s in northwest Texas, some 80s for Florida. Up here in the northeast, it's going to be upper 30s to low 40s. The mountain areas could be below freezing. You get below freezing temperatures in portions of Idaho, Montana, the Dakotas, and the West Coast. Temperatures are not only going to be in the 50s as you have that storm system coming onshore, which will limit the temperatures for the next few days. And even on Friday, as you will see here, temperatures do not get out of the 40s or 50s, with a couple areas maybe getting into the 70s in southeast California. Taking a look in the east tomorrow. Tomorrow is a relatively cool day for March standards. Highs only in the 30s for much of the northeast. Even in Pennsylvania, maybe, like down around Philly, you hit 40 tomorrow. But take a look at the south. Texas is cooler tomorrow, except for southern Texas. You actually have an area of cooler weather in central Texas with just low 50s. Florida, you get back into the 80s again tomorrow. In the upper Midwest, you're looking at temperatures in the 30s to even some spots in the upper 20s. But for the most part, it is going to be a warmer day than today. And in the northwest states tomorrow, as you can see here, northwest is going to be relatively cool, with the mountain areas below freezing and the lower elevations being just in the low 40s. Finally, on Saturday, it really warms up out in Texas. Look at this. Some places get to near 90 degrees ahead of that next system. And the extreme southern areas like Florida, 80s again. And the rest of the country, relatively at or just slightly below average temperatures. Alrighty, thanks for watching today's Short Range Outlook. If you like the content we do on our channel here, hit the like and subscribe button down below. Until next time, enjoy the weather you have.